Akwaba, and welcome to Ghana. Ghana is a black sub-Saharan African country north of the equator, along the Greenwich Meridian, bordered by Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, and being a coastal country, the ocean on her south. Ghanaians trace their roots to what is modern-day Nigeria, Benin, and Burkina Faso. And if you look closely, the culture and preferred vocation tends to reflect the nature of the area each group came from, as well as where they finally settled. Until independence, this whole area was called the Gold Coast. Europeans of the Middle Ages, believing there was gold simply washed up on the beaches. The Europeans established forts and castles across the coast. Trading gold eventually gave way to trading people. And yes, of sub-Saharan African countries, the Gold Coast was per capita the single greatest player in the peculiar institution. By the mid-19th century, the Asantes, or Ashantis as the English called them, a forest people, began unifying Akan-speaking people into an empire, which would set them on a head-to-head collision with the English, who were already signing treaties that were effectively making the southern parts of the Gold Coast a colony. Like the Zulus, the Asantes would fare well in early victories before being assimilated by the British in 1901. However, they did manage to save their culture and their literal seat of power. Like other colonies, education was tailored to replace African values with Victorian and later Edwardian ones. Some of these conservative values still permeate our culture today. Independence of the Gold Coast only came after World War II colonial troops who had fought the Japanese in Burma were fired upon by British troops, and the entire country agitated for change. The independent Gold Coast would be renamed Ghana and would become the first black African nation to be decolonized. The 70s would be defined by a sliding door of military government until the PNDC brutally dismantled the machinery which made any further coup remotely possible. Eventually, the Fourth Republic of Ghana would be established, stable and democratic. Presidential elections are held every 4 years in December, with 2016 being an election year. Ghana is divided into 10 regions with Accra as a capital and Takoradi and Tema her main economic harbors. Please note, Greater Accra is a region and the city of Accra is both that regional capital and a national capital. Ghana is a secular state with about 70% Christian population across the country and a fairly large Muslim population, mostly concentrated in the north. While traditional religion is more notable in the hinterlands and generally more rural areas, the average Ghanaian still values traditions. And you may often find aspects of traditional religion sneaking into people's otherwise Christian and Muslim faiths. Ghanaians are religiously tolerant people, especially people of the two major religions. Having been a former British colony and currently a member of the British Commonwealth, her official language is English. That said, the average Ghanaian you encounter will likely speak English as a secondary, even tertiary language, with some people opting not to respond in English at all. While most may speak some amount of English, you'll probably be more persuasive if you learn one of her major languages. Now, like much of Africa, there are several ethnic groups in Ghana. However, the largest and most influential in the south are the Akans and the Gas, since Accra is a Ga region. That said, if you had to pick one language, you'll likely get by in most parts of Ghana speaking the Akan Twi. As of 2007, we use a redenomination of the cedi and pesewa, effectively dividing it by 10,000. So you may hear some people say the price of something is 1 million cedis. Well, they mean 1,000. Heard about the jollof wars? Ghana and Nigerians on social media going at it about whose jollof is better. You see, Ghanaians are proud of their food. If you've been here a week, you probably have heard at least one of these being mentioned. Fufu, banku, kinky, shito, wache, and of course jollof rice. The nature of Ghanaian food varies widely, but we are hearty eaters, so expect to be served bigger portions with quite a bit of accompaniment. Also, while we may not have a spicier taste as, say, India, we do like our shito. Like most places, traditional clothes are now worn exclusively on special occasions and dress down Fridays. But it's not uncommon to see a batakari or kaftan being worn at more casual companies. We are not yet wearing kente on Mondays though, but it's coming. When it comes to funerals, the three colors are black, red, and white. Black signifies general mourning, red signifies grief, and white is celebration of life. When white is worn at a funeral, it signifies the person was of advanced age. Therefore, we are no longer mourning or grieving, we are celebrating their life. Whereas black is worn by everyone, Red is specific to the family that is grieving. For this reason, wearing all red in Ghanaian society is peculiar for its macabre concept. Please note, in spite of a very loud, rich culture, language, and social quirks, Ghanaians may surprise you at being rather indirect in their subtext. We don't always say what we mean. That said, we have a very communal-centric culture, and we have some of the world's largest hearts when it comes to being agreeable to total strangers. In fact, you're more likely to suffer a slight encroachment on your personal space than passive deference. So try to reconcile the difference in our disposition with our nuances of speech, because this might throw you. Ghana is a product of a mottled history. Even in 2016, you only have to look a bit closely, and you would find clear evidence across a landscape of her ancient, imperial, and colonial past. Generally speaking, Ghana is self-aware, opting to handle her affairs with diplomacy and much more subtlety that may be perceived by the casual observer.